What's going on, 49er faithful, 49er fan, 49er gang? This is your boy, Niner Gang Podcast, back in the building. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn on the post notifications so I can keep you up to date on any and everything San Francisco 49ers. With that being said, man, let's get right on into it. So the offseason is here. That much is true. And we got some question marks that we need to fill in. You know what I'm saying? Just a few things we got to talk about, a few things that we need to be able to take care of. What's going on? So just small stuff, nothing big. As far as the news, obviously we hired Steve Wilks. We lost a bunch of people. As usual, whenever somebody leaves the 49ers and goes into a head coaching gig, they pretty much poach the staff as much as they can. So you'll see certain people gone. Some people will stay. Some people will go. Some people will be promoted. There'll be new people hired. I believe we hired another Kubiak, in the system. So it looks like the Shanahans and the Kubiaks have a very strong connection when it comes to them being together and any system and whatnot that they have. Just understanding of it. And then when you see anybody that leaves, typically what do? They take our system with them. It's not going to be the exact same thing that Kyle Shanahan is running, but it's going to be a spinoff in some way, shape, or form. This is always how it works. Nothing new. We all anticipate and expect this. So DeMeco Ryans is now a Houston Texan. He is their head coach. He took a couple people with him. Don't really need to go over the names like that, but it's just normal and very typical of guys. Hey, what's going on? The new OC. I think tight end coach. I think it was Corey. It wasn't Unlin. Good morning, Miss Debbie. Good morning. Blessings to you and yours as well. Oh, thank you, man. I got this actually in downtown LA. So if you ever go to LA, you got to go downtown and just do some shopping. Preferably take cash because some places take cards, some places do not. But when you go to downtown LA, the food is amazing and the clothes are always amazing. The stuff you can get is straight up ridiculous. So got this hat in downtown LA, man. They have them in every color you can think of. So my favorite color is red, so I chose this one. But thank you for the compliment. So we have a lot of things that are coming up. So for us, mainly our concern right now is the center and right guard position. The right tackle position. I apologize. The reason being is because you can't protect your quarterback. You have no business playing football. And we have our left tackle, our left guard, and our right guard pretty much are all locked down. But we're losing Daniel Brunskill. We're losing Mike McGlinchey. We're losing Jake Brendel. So while those guys are free agents, people were looking at it and saying, well, who do you re-sign? McGlinchey played admirably this year. He played a little bit better when it came down to the pass protection, but it still wasn't good enough. The guy gets beat on pass protection a little more often than not. So I'm not going to sit here and bash him, but I'm still going to say there's definitely still a lot of room for improvement. Here's the issue with the right tackle spot. There's not a lot of guys out there. So here's my suggestion, and I've heard this on other shows, so it seems like a lot of us are in agreement. I would say keep Dan Brunskill, kick him out to right tackle. Daniel Brunskill can play any position on the line. I preferably never want to see him at center ever again in my life, but I do believe that he plays the guard and tackle spots really well. So you could put Daniel Brunskill right tackle. They could believe they already have the right tackle on the roster. So you could have possibly Colton McKivitz kick out to right tackle, Jalen Moore kick out to right tackle. And I know McKivitz is another guy that's a free agent, but I'm pretty sure they'll bring him back. So honestly, if you leave it to me, I would go ahead, find myself a good center, possibly. The sad part about Gutierrez is you never see him. You never see him. You never hear about him. And he's a part of a program that the NFL has that basically will take players from Mexico and bring them in and, start to develop them into NFL players. But you've been there for I believe he's been with us for at least 3 years. So, yeah, and he is a massive dude. I remember when I first found out about him, there was a video of him almost pulling a Michael Orr to an extent. If you remember the Blind Side, when he blocked this dude into the next fucking year, it was crazy. It was definitely crazy. I was insane. I was like, whoa, this dude's got some serious power. But I don't know what his development is. Nobody ever really asks about him in the media. They're more so asking about the guys that we already have. So it definitely can be confusing as it pertains to that. So me personally, I would say, hey, let the guy play. Give him a shot. You got him. He's a big body, and if you've had him all these years, you can't keep redshirting and developing someone for that span of time. I know him. He's probably just happy to be on the team and, roll with us and do things like that. But at the end of the day, if you truthfully want to play football, you typically will go ahead and say to yourself, hey, I want to make sure I get these things done. And I go ahead and, get on the field, and you have those aspirations. So, even if a team says, well, hey, we don't think you're ready, it's like, all right, look, man, I know y'all don't think I'm ready, but I'm gonna go somewhere where they feel I'm ready. I'm trying to, I'm talking to my agent saying, hey, look, is there any interest out there for me anywhere? Is there any way I can, do one of the little walk-on things, and stuff like that? Because it starts to get frustrating after a while. It's just sitting on the practice squad and nothing is happening. So yeah, Gutierrez is definitely a good mention, and we do need to know what's happening with his development. What's going on, Throwback? So for me, it's just a situation of them letting him, letting him get out there and letting us as fans see what he has to offer, because we truthfully don't know. But with our O-line, yes, those two spots are very, very, very intricate. They both have to be solidified, because I don't want to be playing musical chairs in training camp again. I did not like that this previous year, and I wouldn't like it going forward. The musical chairs on the offensive line, to me, was at the detriment of Trey Lance, because he never had anyone specific that he knew was going to start. Yes, we know Trent Williams knows his stuff. Yes, we know that certain guys are solidified and they understand things. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's too many guys shuffling an offensive line in front of their starter in training camp and then going into a season and saying, well, yeah, we'll make it work. No. You typically want to have your line solidified, know that they know and understand each other, know that they are able to, know what they're going to do on different plays. Everybody understands checks and reads. The center is the quarterback of the offensive line, so on and so forth. We all know and understand these things. It's just we have to get that situation locked down and solidified, because we cannot continue to have this, like I said, musical chairs on the offensive line. You can't keep doing that, because you won't win championships that way. You have to have the proper protection for your quarterback and know your offensive line is not going to be perfect. And yes, if that was the case, you probably are going to have at least one or two guys that are a little bit down, as far as pay grade. And if they continue to play up, yes, they can be poached in free agency unless you decide to franchise tag that person, or you offer them a new contract. And we all know in the NFL, you can't pay everybody. Salary cap has exploded. I think it went up to about $224 million. So that'll give us a little wiggle room. I do expect a couple of restructures in this offseason as far as contracts to open up more cap space. We all know Parag Marate is a wizard with figuring those things out and doing those things correctly. So we'll see what happens as far as that stuff is concerned with the numbers and figures. Right now, I believe we have somewhere around about 5 to 8 million in cap space. And, we got a couple guys that are walking, but, I did a video already on that to let you know who I would like to keep and who I wouldn't mind letting go necessarily. But the biggest spots right now for us are that center position and the right tackle. We need to solidify those spots. We need to have those guys locked down, whether we're drafting someone or whether we're picking up someone in free agency. We need to make sure that we do what we can to, make sure that that line is solidified to be able to hold up Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that as far as Trey Lance or Brock Purdy. Some people are on the Brock Purdy train. Some people like me are of the ilk that Trey Lance should just basically have, the option to get out there and play and still be able to show his stuff. And he hasn't had a fair shot pretty much. And I believe that. I know a lot of people saw what Brock did in that short span of time, and they're like, man, this is the guy moving forward. We all know that, that there's a bunch of people jumping on the Brock train and, Joe Montana and Steve Young and everybody else and all this other stuff. And, for me, Brock Purdy is injured. He's going to have his surgery, I believe, should be in the next couple of days. When they get in there and they actually open his arm up, they're going to figure out which surgery they're going to do. So as of now, everybody is typically expecting him to be back within the 6-month time frame. But depending on what surgery they do, that can extend to a longer period of time. And I understand that. So for me, what I would say is everybody just have patience. We don't truthfully know until after his surgery is done what his recovery time frame will be. So we'll probably know that, I want to say around maybe next week. The Niners will let the news out or somebody will leak it on Twitter, as things always happen. And they'll say, oh, okay, hey, Brock Purdy's time frame is this or it's that. It's not too long ago, somebody was like, oh, it's only 4 months instead. So we have to just wait for the true information to come out. We can all speculate. We can all think we know exactly what's going on, but we don't until somebody tells us the truth of it. Brock Purdy has been very forthcoming about the surgery, and he's usually pretty vocal on his own about, time frames and things like that. He's not a guy that likes to hide. So we've got some free agents that we definitely are letting go of. And, guys like Samson Ebukam, he can walk. I think we just need to prepare Drake Jackson to be able to take that spot and do what he has to do. Toward the end of the season, you started to see Drake Jackson become inactive. Kyle Shanahan said at the presser that basically, I guess his body wasn't, built for, being, I guess, a 3-down defensive end. And so I guess, it's probably just conditioning issues and stuff like that. But to be honest with you, I still think the kid is a star. He's a monster. Even if you use him as a specialist, I think he's great. We do have another year here with Javon Kinlaw. I don't believe that we're going to pick up his 5th-year option. The reason being, yeah, there we go. Miss Debbie says Brock Purdy will have his surgery on February 22nd. Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, this is the next couple of days. We got 4 days before that happens. So that definitely works out. The one thing that I have stated on my channel is I've just tempered my expectations. I expect us to make the playoffs because we have a playoff caliber team. I am not getting my hopes up for a Super Bowl again. I'm sorry. This is just, the team's just been letting me down. We went to the Super Bowl versus the Ravens with Cap. Nothing. We went to the Super Bowl versus the Chiefs with Jimmy. Nothing. We've been in the NFC Championship the last 2 years. Nothing. I don't know whether it's a stroke of bad luck or what the situation is that the NFL don't like the Niners. I don't know what happens, but it's just not working out. So I will say this. We will make the playoffs. That is a guarantee. As far as how far we're going to playoffs, who knows? I'm not predicting anything. I'm not getting my hopes up because it's just a frustrating situation where we have to continually get our hopes up. Everything looks great. We start rolling. We're balling, and something happens. Jimmy couldn't make the throw. They don't want to call a holding call in the Super Bowl versus, the Ravens. In the NFC Championship game last year, we wound up coming up short because, things happen. Everybody says it was tart, but at that point in time, I still believe there was 9 minutes left in the game. And with how short our drives were and us not being able to move the ball, Just because he caught that interception doesn't mean it's a guarantee that we run that clock out. And then you look at it, the moment we need Jimmy to be somebody, there's no Debo on the field. Why that is, I have the faintest idea. And next thing you know, he's getting sacked, throwing an interception, and game's over. So, this past year, I mean, literally on second, third play, Hassan Reddick comes off the edge like a madman, and basically rips Brock's UCL to shreds. And there's nothing that we can do about that. Those types of plays happen because they teach you that on the defensive line to basically tomahawk chop that arm to basically, mess with the throw. So there's an injury, then there's a fumble. It just disasters continue to strike. So I have to temper my expectations. I know a lot of people are, hype like, yeah, man, we're going right back. I'm not about to turn into a Cowboys fan. I am sorry. And it's no disrespect to anybody else out there that has the confidence and the optimism to say that we are going to the Super Bowl, but I'm not about to do that. I'm not going to be that person. Dave, what's going on, man? I'm not going to be that person. I'm just not. I can't do it. I'm done getting my hopes up and continually being let down. That doesn't mean I'm not faithful. That just means I'm a little realistic, not saying that other people aren't. I'm not casting any aspersions on anyone else or their beliefs or what they feel is coming next year or how they think that the season is going to go. I'm just saying for me personally, I'm good. So when it comes to free agency, free agency pretty much is almost here. So let's take a look here and see what we've got. So we've already had the Senior Bowl. That was February 4th. Pro Bowl, Super Bowl, everything. So next thing that we have up on the list is going to be literally franchise tag. Franchise tag is going to come on March 7th. So on February 21st to March 7th is the window that teams will have to be able to franchise tag their player of choice. It doesn't matter who it is, but, long story short, franchise tag is simply a situation where you're paying that player the highest amount of money for their position. So, you franchise tag quarterback, you're going to pay that dude upwards of, I want to say about $35 to $40 million. Franchise tag a wide receiver, certain things like that. They basically average it out amongst the top players in the league, and that's what the tag is based off of. So just for people who may or may not know, the franchise tag is a designation that allows teams to select one player set to be an unrestricted free agent and guarantees another year under contract if certain conditions are met. Each team receives one franchise tag per year and can be applied as either exclusive or non-exclusive. So exclusive franchise tag means team must offer the selected player a 1-year contract no less than either the average of the top 5 salaries at that player's position based on April of the current year or 120% of the player's previous year's salary, whichever is greater. So the non-exclusive franchise tag, teams must offer a selected player a 1-year contract no less than the average of the top 5 cap hits of that player's position or 120% of the player's previous year's salary, whichever is greater. So you can hit them with exclusive or non-exclusive. And it says here the two biggest differences between an exclusive and non-exclusive franchise tag is incorporation of salary cap hit versus who holds negotiating power. A cap hit is similar to the salary, but it takes into account all expenses that go toward the team's salary cap, such as signing bonuses. Additionally, each tag comes with different bargaining rights and guaranteed assets for both player and team. Aptly named exclusive tag gives the team exclusive negotiating rights. Should the player reject the offer, they are unable to sign with another team that entire season. Meanwhile, non-exclusive tags allow players to negotiate with other teams. They receive the offer. Their current team has the opportunity to match. If they have not to match, they're entitled to receive 2 first-round draft picks in exchange. So basically, long story short, exclusive situation is what it is. Can't go nowhere. You either sign a tag or you don't. And non-exclusive means I can go out there and find somebody to pay me more money and basically tell you, hey, you ain't getting, I'm not staying here. I don't want to be here. And if you say, well, I like it, I'll match it, then pretty much you have to stay. So it's a little iffy. The franchise tag to me kind of screws you. Here's the reason why. So say you're a first round pick, and with the first round pick comes a 5th-year option. So first round picks signed basically a 5-year contract to an extent. 4 years is actually signed. Depending on where you're picked in the first round is how much money you'll get, guaranteed money, so on and so forth. I'm not going to go into all of that because that's a lot to talk about. But I'm just trying to give you guys a short of it. So say you're a first round pick, you play very well. Year after year, your contract goes upward. So you're on an upward trajectory. You're in a bear market. And sorry, you're in a bull market. I apologize, wrong term. So here's the issue. You play 4 years, you're great. You want another contract. Team says, nah, we'll just pick up your 5th year. So you pick up your 5th year, kind of stuck like Chuck. You don't really have any options. Next thing you know, they say, oh, well, yeah, we don't want to pay you. So we'll franchise tag you. So you're like, all right, now I'm here for 6 years. I have no security. This is it. Then the next thing you know, they say, well, we can franchise you again. So it's basically 6 years of your NFL career gone with no true security, no guaranteed money, none of that. Now, that's the frustrating part about it. Some players don't care. They're like, hey, man, look, I'm just here to get paid. I'm going to do what I got to do. If you're a quarterback, that can still work out well for you. You don't have any real issues. Worked out well for Kirk Cousins. They franchise tagged him, I believe, twice when they were still the Washington Redskins. And then he went on. He's ripping off Minnesota right now because he still ain't brought them a damn thing. So it kind of, it can handicap you in a way. And then sometimes, depending on your position, it can be, something that can help you. So those are just some of the things about the franchise tag that are definitely good and bad. So February 25th, we do have the HBCU Legacy Bowl in New Orleans. What I would tell you is people tune into the Legacy Bowl, support the HBCUs. They don't get a lot of support. It's very hard for them to be able to get the funding and have donors and things like that. So if you don't know what HBCU means, it's historically Black college, or historically Black collegiate university, something like that. But those guys need the support. They need the love. They need the attention. We all know what Deion did for Jackson State. I know everybody was pissed off that he left and he went to Colorado, but you have to understand that man is a businessman, and you had to understand that man wasn't going to be there forever. We all knew that. He came there, he changed the culture, he turned it into a winning team. He got Under Armour to be able to support them and provide them gear and everything else. So, hey, when the opportunity came up for Colorado, he decided to take it. You move back into, so-called big leagues when it comes to Colorado because they are, Pac-12. And, hey, I mean, I'm not going to knock the man for making a decision that, betters his life, betters his pocketbook, and continues to keep him rolling. He is probably the greatest defensive back to ever play football, and he will always have a job somewhere. He will always be able to make money because of who he is and the brand that he's built for himself. But in that same vein, a lot of people were pissed off because he left the HBCU. It's just there's a lot of things going around. Me personally, I'm not mad at the dude. Hey, you got to do what you got to do for yourself and your family, and keep on pushing, and he's really truthfully looking to try to get his oldest son, Shedeur, into the league. And Shedeur is a very good quarterback. And you take him to Colorado, you put him up against better competition. The league sees that. I think he should be in his 3rd year eligibility, so he should be able to declare after this year. So I don't see a reason why that man should sit back and let it go, And look, that Notre Dame is playing an HBCU here, Tennessee State. That's fine. That's good. And I hope that Tennessee State comes in there and shows up and shows out. The HBCUs don't have access to all of the things that a lot of these Power 5 schools do. They don't have the facilities that Alabama or Florida or a USC, even the UCLA, or a Utah. They don't have access to all that money because they don't have people donating to their schools like the boosters donate to these other schools. So you got to support them. Please watch that. And at the same time, you'll see some talent. You will definitely see some talent. Don't think that because they're going up against each other that they ain't going up and they're showing up and showing out. And you got to be smart about it. One of the guys I know of that's still in the league right now that did make the team, Deshaun Dixon, he is a Jacksonville Jaguar. He is a defensive end from Norfolk State. Did do an interview with him. Great kid. Congratulations to him for even being on the squad and making it and being a final person. And he made the cut, along with the fact, hey, man, his team went to the playoffs. Nobody expected the Jags to be able to really do that. It was the first year under Doug Peterson. There was a lot of confusion. Hey, Mom. And then on top of that, when you look at it, what necessarily happened? They came in there and did that thing. They did that thing. We all thought this was going to be a walk in the park for the Chargers. Nope. Jacksonville came back and took the game. Things happen, man. Things happen. So those things go on. But those are just, some of the things that we have as far as what's going on in the NFL and the franchise tag and how that works. So there are other tags, that apply, but we won't talk about those, like transition tags, stuff like that. So on March 13th, so March 7th, colleges will start doing pro days and whatnot. The combine is going to be from February 28th through March 6th. So you can catch all that information on NFL Network. They always host a combine. They always put it there. It makes everything go. Those are the dudes you get to take a look at. Anybody that's been invited there is from any and everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you went to HBCU, community, whatever. You get an invite, you get an invite. So they are the combine is always good to be able to watch. I don't really pay attention to the 40 anymore because I just, shout out to my man Tony from Nothing But Niners. Just call it the Underwear Olympics, man, because I feel like the 40 should be done in full pads and cleats. I don't feel you should be out there running a 40 without that on because you're not testing speed. This is speed without gear. And I'm sorry, when you're on the field, you have full gear, your path is being deterred, so you cannot truthfully go the way that you normally would go. It's extremely rare you're going to get somebody to allow you to run a straight line down the field. One, you're going to have to be just that fucking fast. Or two, you'll have to be able to still overcome you're going to have to overcome some obstacle. There's going to be somebody in your way. There's going to be somebody in zone defense. There's probably going to be somebody that chips you a little bit, gives you a push. I know a tactic for DBs is when you see somebody going up the sideline, what do? You can nudge them out with your hip. You just got to be smart about it and slick about it. And if you push that person out of bounds, they cannot be the first person to catch the ball. It's just a rule in the league. So if you go out of bounds and come back in bounds, you can't be the first person to touch the ball. So there's ways that it can work for you and against you, but straight line speed should be measured with full pads. Honestly, even if they tell them, hey, just stand up and go. But I don't know. And then honestly, a 40 time for like an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. So. Offensive linemen shouldn't even really run the 40. Why? They ain't running that dang fast, that far. They don't even go that far down the field, typically. Now, defensive linemen, yeah, you could do that because you want to see if they can kind of catch some of these quarterbacks and see if they're able to keep up with them. But so. You want to see something from your linebackers, but I feel like the 40 is just overrated. A lot of people put so much hype on it, but it's just a situation where you're truthfully not seeing someone's speed. This isn't track and field. This is football. So if it's football, you need to do it the way it's supposed to be done. The only other thing, I like the other drills because it shows you the athleticism. It shows you the bend, the flex of these people, the jumping and stuff like that. But some of these things should be done with full pads on to be able to get a better read on what you're going to see. I don't think the vert should be done. The vertical should be done with full pads. That doesn't make sense, because you got to do certain things. You got to be able to try. So, a little bit there, it'll be different. Yeah. Okay. So Roy Boy, what's going on? He says UCLA would be the only school left to have not played in FCS school. Yeah, they'll probably fix it. I believe they're trying to lead the Pac-12 and go into Big Ten or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, but there's a lot. Yeah, yeah. So scouting combine's coming, so we'll be able to see the talent there. Try to hopefully key in on some guys that we need because, to be honest with you, the top two safeties that I would have wanted back are leaving our team, and that's Tayshawn Gibson and Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward's going to go elsewhere and get paid. We might be able to get Tayshawn Gibson for the low. We might. I don't know if that's a guarantee, but always a possibility. So if we can get Gip back, I mean, Gip and Huff, he worked out well. He led the team with 5 interceptions. I think he dropped like four earlier in the season, and he set up Huff for 2 of his. So the guy was playing fantastic in the system, and he was working out well. So if Gip can come back, if we can get him for, a reasonable price and still be able to kind of line his pockets some way, maybe even just, put some incentives in there for him to, for certain things to do to be able to pay out, that's cool. Once again, like I said, there's going to be some restructuring of a few contracts. We got to move some money around to be able to do so, along with the fact that, we want to make sure that we have the players here to be able to solidify the team. Azeez Al-Shaair, unfortunately, is probably going to walk, so it's probably going to thrust Oren Burks onto the field, but we still need another linebacker. Oren Burks is technically a special teams guy. I know they like him a lot, but honestly, he was not better than Azeez. I can tell you that right now, just from my viewpoint. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I'm not going to say that they're wrong. So that's just me. So we need another DB. Emmanuel Mosley, technically speaking, is a free agent. He's going to be fully healthy by the time training camp comes around, so he'll be good to go. We did hire Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks is fantastic with defensive backs, so we've got the best D-line coach. Now we have the best defensive backs coach. So if we've got Steve Wilks coaching our DBs and our safeties, we've got Chris Cassera coaching that D-line. We just have to figure out who's going to coach the linebackers. Because I do believe that was a situation of D'Amico. He was, I think he was the defensive. He was the defensive coach, but the defense coordinator. But he was definitely coaching those linebackers. I mean, he coached Fred since he came in the league. So, if you notice, that was some of the things that D'Amico could do. He was a sideline to sideline guy. So there are things that we'll have to look at into the future, but hopefully these things work out for us because we want to make sure that we're, continuing in our ways to be able to stay competitive. Even if we draft a linebacker, what about giving Marcelino McCrary-Ball, a chance, a shot to get on the field and see what he can do? You probably bump Oren Burks up to the starter and you bring Ball up and make him a special teams guy and allow him to be able to get out there. As far as the defensive backs that we currently have, we still have Ambry Thomas. We still got Demo. We still have Mooney. We have Womack out there. I believe we've got a couple other people. I think Quantrez Knight is still here. There's a few more people that are coming in, hanging around. But, we still got to make sure that we solidify that because Mooney and E-Man was a great duo. I think that was fantastic. And if you keep Mooney and E-Man and those dudes are out there on the edge and we put Demo back in the slot, I still think we're good. We just have to make sure that the depth is able to keep up. Hopefully Wilkes can pull something out of Ambry Thomas because he just all but disappeared last year. He was just non-existent, couldn't get on the field to save his life. So while everybody the year before counted out Diamond Lenore, he came in this year, showed up and showed out. So we'll have to see what goes on and what happens in the future when it comes to those guys. But hopefully we can re-sign Gibb because there's not a lot of guys out there on that free agent market that really, kind of move the needle for me, so to speak. So as far as that goes, let's just take a quick look at it when it comes down to it. So just a second. Let me get this thing opened up for our safety position. Let's see here. All right, so I believe it's free safety. I'm going to try to let this thing keep rolling. Come on, Spot Rack. Don't fail me now. All right. Because there's not a ton of free safeties out there. A lot of people are keeping it cool. So Top free safety right now is Jordan Poyer, but he's already 31. Of course, Jimmy Ward. We got Adrian Amos. He's 29, so you could probably get him in on a 2-3 year deal coming from Green Bay. Devin McCourty is out there, and then everybody else, you just don't care for. I know Tarvarius Moore is there, and we have familiarity with him from him being on the team, but he was injured mostly, and he wound up being relegated to special teams. I think if they really wanted to keep him and they wanted to pay him, to be here, they would have done so. So all of these guys are unrestricted free agents. So we just have to kind of see where the ball drops there. Then if you go to the offensive line and try to take a look at the center position, there aren't too many guys out there. So you've got Rodney Hudson. I know Breezy likes Connor McGovern. Jason Kelsey is out there, but he's already 35. So if you pick him up, you got him on maybe a 2-year deal at a max if you really want him. When you look at everybody else, the center position just starts to drop pretty much after those names I gave you. So it's just a frustrating thing. I know that Jake Brendel is still out there, and he played admirably for us, but we could have gotten a little bit better play out of the center position. So we don't really know. But then you start to look at defensive backs. Now, that position right there, we've got some options, and that's the good thing. So come on, spot back. There we go. So we're going to look at cornerbacks. Now, these names are going to kind of blow your mind because these are the guys that, top level dudes. So Marcus Peters is out there. Bradley Roby is out there. You've got Emmanuel Mosley. Patrick Peterson is out there. Kyle Fuller's out there again. So just those guys, Rocky Sin. So just a couple of dudes right there that you keep your eye on. But the issue is we don't do crazy moves in free agency. We really haven't. We haven't done that since I think McClugan was the GM. We don't really spend a ton of money in free agency. We never have. We're not splash free agent people. We did it a couple of years ago, but it was to our detriment with Quan Alexander and Dee Ford. Neither one of them can necessarily stay on the field. Hell, Quan did everything he could to get back on the field at a bare minimum, but Dee Ford himself, he was just injury prone, and we overpaid. And now we're just sitting here kicking the can down the road continuously. I think Throwback posted we were about 17 mil in the hole, just in dead cap, just paying guys who aren't even playing. I think we're still paying the last center that we had, Weston Richburg. I believe we're definitely paying Dee Ford, so this is not a shot at Breezy. I don't take shots at my friends like that. I'm just making a statement. So he was saying that Dee Ford did us a favor by restructuring his contract. I don't think Dee Ford did us no favors. Dee Ford did what he had to do. See, here's the thing, man. Like, when you basically ripping somebody off, you gotta help him out. Because he knew he wasn't getting back on the field. He knew his body was not up to par for that. And if you think about it, we cut him. Anybody heard from Dee Ford? Anybody seen any teams interested in Dee Ford? No, that's not a favor, man. You did yourself a solid by saying, look, man, I already know I ain't worth a dime. I know my body's not going to be able to hold up on the field, so I'm just going to have to let this go. It was a business decision that made sense for both parties, and I don't think he did us a favor. I think he just knew he wasn't going to be able to get his ass on the field. And I'm sorry, man. To me, it's disrespectful for you to continue to take money from the team and you can't play. I understand you got to be able to feed your family and you got to be able to do things, but at the end of the day, man, just as a player, your job is to go out there and play and earn your money. As me being an employee of a company, my job is to go out there and work and earn my money. My job is not to sit out there and be sick and be on FMLA for my whole working career. You know why? Because what's going to happen at some point, they're going to terminate me. They're going to find a way. Why? Because at this point, I'm just wasted space. I've become a liability rather than an asset. And it's no disrespect to Dee Ford, but that's what happened with him. he became a liability. He couldn't get on the field. And it's the same thing with Jason Verrett. The only difference is Verrett wasn't screwing us out of a ton of money because we didn't pay him a ridiculous amount of money. It's just a simple thing. All the talent in the world can't stay healthy. Very unfortunate. These are two guys, Jason Verrett and Dee Ford, who have immense talent. If you could put that talent in some of the guys that we already had on the field, we'd have superstars. But the thing is, you can't stay on the field. You can't stay healthy. And it's nothing against them, but kind of is what it is. At this point, I'm sorry. I have no aspirations to pay you a ridiculous amount of money when I'm looking at you and saying, yeah, you can't even stay on the field. So right now, a lot of people were talking about our quarterback situation. Just to touch on that, it's very simple. Some people were even mentioning Derek Carr. Derek Carr can't stay healthy. We don't need another Jimmy Garoppolo. Basically, a dude that helps you out, kind of gets you where you need to go, but then he's either injured or disappears. Anytime the Raiders have went to the playoffs while Derek Carr has been there, he has not been able to play in those games. Right before the playoffs, I think the only time that they even went, I think they only went once since he's been there. And when they went, he wound up getting injured. I think he broke his leg or his arm or something. And next thing you know, they had to start some other random dude and they lost. So Carr's released, you know what I'm saying? And he'll probably wind up somewhere. And the quarterback carousel is going to be a fun one to watch because there are a ton of people out there. People can cross Tom Brady off the list. He officially retired. He said, I'm done. I'm good. He doesn't need to play anymore. I mean, I don't understand what he was trying to accomplish as it was. I mean, you got over 20 years in the NFL. You have 7 fucking Super Bowls. You've done it with 2 different teams. I'm good. Oh, did he play in the 2021 playoffs? I honestly don't remember that. I don't. Maybe I don't remember it because they probably wound up just getting beat down and lost in the first round. But these are things that you have to take into account. So while I understand that everybody wants to get on the field, everybody wants to earn their paycheck and all that good stuff, it's still a situation of, hey, sorry, we can't help you with that. I don't want Derek Carr on this team. We have Trey Lance. We have Brock Purdy. I am perfectly comfortable, just like Kyle Shanahan, going into the new season with that. Oh, it was against the Bengals. Okay, you are correct. Thank you, CJ. So here's the thing. I would say let's bring in a vet, a good vet that's okay, understanding, hey, you're just here to teach these guys and continue to keep them going mentally. And you're here for mentorship. Don't expect to be on the field because we hope and pray to God that we don't have to use you. We're the only team in the NFL, I think, that's went through 4 quarterbacks in one season. Insanity. And the way we lose these quarterbacks is just, and believe me, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that when Brock Purdy came into the game, I was anticipating what he was going to be. I was not. I'm looking like this is the last pick in the draft, and we're about to rely on this dude to take us down the stretch and get us into the playoffs and possibly win the Super Bowl. I don't know about that one. Shout out to Brock Purdy. Came out and proved everybody wrong. Shut a lot of people up. And hey, props to him for going out there and doing it, having the faith. I live in Arizona. He's an Arizona kid, local guy. I mean, hell, the kid turned down Alabama to go to Iowa State. That just tells you, man, hey, it's like cool. It's like, it's nice. I like you, Mr. Saban, but I don't want to go to Alabama and sit for 3 years and then possibly hope and pray somebody gets injured, which you never do. And then, hope to get on the field like that. It doesn't make sense. So it's cool. Brock is still a good dude. I say you bring in a vet, get you somebody that can, kind of keep teaching these guys, somebody a little familiar with the system and keep on pushing. Greasy is doing a fantastic job with these quarterbacks. I think Trey Lance is going to be great. And I do believe that, it's probably going to be a competition because you can't do Trey Lance Greasy like that and tell him you lost your job just strictly based off the fact that you were injured. This guy came in, he played fantastically, and hey, it is what it is. You're the backup. And, you can't tell Brock Purdy, hey, you lost your job due to injury. And, we drafted this kid, put a lot of stock into him. So we've got to give him a shot. At the end of the day, you can just be real simple about it. There will be a competition. And plus, we all know Kyle Shanahan. He ain't about to get nobody a straight damn answer just to save his life. We all know how this works. Kyle has always been the type of person to never tell you the truth. He will omit until he can't omit no more. It'd be the first day of the season and they be over there handing in the cards. That's when you'll find out who the starter is. Joe Montana believes that it should be Brock Purdy, but Joe Montana don't like black quarterbacks. I know a lot of people, won't say that, or they shy away from these types of conversations. I don't. On my channel, I leave it open and I tell the truth of things, at least from my perspective. I don't think Joe Montana likes black quarterbacks. When Cap was the quarterback, he said that Blaine Gabbert should be the starter. Where's Blaine Gabbert? What has Blaine Gabbert ever done in the NFL? Not a damn thing. He ain't worth shit. And remember, when I say this is all from a business standpoint. This ain't got nothing to do with nobody personally, because I don't know these people to talk about them personally. I'm just telling you, Blaine Gabbert is trash. And, what I'm saying, when it came down to it, he looks at it. He wanted Jimmy G to start, and he still wants Jimmy G to start. And I don't understand why. But the people that want Jimmy to start, follow him wherever he goes. Go ahead and leave with him. We don't need you. I'm sorry. You need to get off that train. It's not going to happen. The main issue is the man priced himself out of our price range, and he's not going to take a deal to come here and be a third string quarterback, because that's basically what's going to happen. You're going to have to look and go, well, Brock's definitely, if you look at it from just a hypothetical standpoint, you're going to go, Brock's our starter, Trey's our backup at a minimum. If you're looking at it now, if everybody's healthy, you might just go that route. Or you could flip-flop that. Trey's our starter, Brock's our backup, whatever the case may be, due to the training camp battle, anything. But Jimmy doesn't come in and take the spot from either one of those guys. Definitely not from Purdy. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the athleticism that Trey Lance has. He doesn't have the arm that Trey Lance has. Yes, Jimmy has a quick release. And women seem to think he's, handsome. That don't mean shit on the goddamn field. Quick release is nice, but when you live over the middle, doesn't make sense. What's going on, Brian? So, it's a situation of we already have guys in the building, and we're not going to waste money on a dude that didn't do anything for us in the playoffs, or didn't do enough, should I say. And that's the problem. You go through the season, we always have slow starts. And then mid-season, we seem to pick it up. We figure everything out. I am feeling fantastic, Brian. Thank you so much. I am actually feeling great. You go through the season, you deal with these things. And then the next thing you know, the playoffs come and he disappears. And the main issue is for people who, give him the credit for those wins. I literally can look at the statistics and show you how he didn't do anything to contribute to those wins. If you throw somebody a 1-2 yard pass, but then they take it for an extra 30, 40, 50 yards, you didn't do that. It's rude. I could throw a 1 or 2 yard pass. That ain't that damn hard. And I'm a lefty. So that makes it even more awkward for people because they don't like playing lefties. Nobody likes a lefty in boxing. Nobody likes a lefty when you play basketball. Nobody likes a lefty when you're playing quarterback. Like, if you're asking somebody to do something so simple as throw a 2 to 5 yard pass and let the person that catches the ball do the rest of the work, what did you truthfully contribute? Now, if you're saying the game needs to be won and I need a bomb thrown down the field, but you can't do it, what good does that do me? So for all you people that love Jimmy, wherever he is going, go with him. You don't need to be a faithful anymore because you're not. At the end of the day, it's a frustrating situation to deal with somebody who wants to continually state that this dude should be the starter when he's never taking you anywhere in the playoffs. He doesn't get you over the hump. And I'm sorry, he doesn't. He had a chance. 2019, blew it. It wasn't like he ain't had time in that pocket. He had enough time. He knew what he needed to do. He He overthrew the guy. It is what it is. So when it comes down to our quarterback situation, I believe we should just bring in a vet to be able to keep up with the dudes, keep up with the young guys, continue to keep teaching them, keep them better. But Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go somewhere. Somebody's going to pay him. That man's going to get somewhere around along the lines of $25 to $30 million. Is he deserving of it? That's up to that team to determine that. A lot of us as fans say no. Some fans say yes. But at the end of the day, that man is going somewhere to get paid to be someone's starter. There are too many teams around the league that need a quarterback, and it's easier for you to bet on. What's going on, Crazy Juice? It's easy for you to bet on something that you've seen on the field and a product that's done something versus a product that you have no idea what you are getting. You can draft, a quarterback. He may have been great in college, might look like shit in the NFL. If there's one common theme that has never left, it is always when you ask players what's the difference between college and the NFL. The game is so much faster. So, to be honest with you, you could take Jimmy. He might get you to the playoffs. He's going to disappear when that time comes, but he might get you there. Depends on the situation. You can see Jimmy in Houston. He's definitely an upgrade over Davis Mills. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Jimmy is a trash and garbage quarterback, but he's limited, and everybody knows what his limitations are. But he definitely be an upgrade over Davis Mills. He would, Carolina needs a quarterback. Washington needs a quarterback. I don't know if they're even sold on Carson Wentz. They just shout out Eric Bieniemy. He finally got from under Andy Reid. And, I think, honestly, not going to lie to you, they may bring a little interim head coach in. And Bieniemy might be that next head coach of the Washington Commanders. I mean, you never know. So it's just a situation of understanding these things, knowing the reality of them, and dealing with them. And that's just basically it when it comes to that. So, we got several teams around the league that need a quarterback. They'll probably be hosting the tryouts. I believe by the time free agency starts and everything, I think he should be fully healed. He should be ready. I know there was a rumor going around saying he could have possibly been an emergency quarterback in the NFC Championship game. I'm going to say this. I know a lot of people knocking for it. I don't knock that man for making a business decision. I wouldn't set foot on the field and possibly further injure myself and screw myself out of a bag to help y'all do a goddamn thing. Me personally, if I'm Jimmy, I do exactly what I did. Sit my ass on the sideline, piss all of us as fans off by smiling, knowing we getting our ass handed to us, even if he knew he could play. Why? I'm not about to go out here, get hit, get beat on, and get tackled and everything and fuck my bag off to be able to try to help you guys get somewhere. And I know y'all don't want me here. I know that I'm leaving at the end of the year. The only way that would have helped Jimmy Garoppolo, the only way that would have helped him is if he would have won the Super Bowl. That would have upped his money. But then possibly that makes him stay here. So I'm glad he sat his ass out because I'm tired of him. But at the end of the day, that man is going to do what he needs to do, And yes, I follow T.O. I'm a diehard Niner fan. I will never root for any other team. But I do follow certain players. Why? Because I like those players. T.O. was – the man was an amazing wide receiver. Just flat out insane what that man was doing on the field. So while people didn't like him, they didn't like his personality, they didn't like the sit-ups in the driveway or his antics on the side, whatever it is, you can never knock that man's talent on the field. That's what I will tell you. So when you look at the free agency, we've got some people we can look into, some things, some guys we can say, okay, we can possibly bring this dude in or bring that dude in. But first, once everything fully is in motion, along with the extra cap space that we have, we got to start moving money around because we got some really big cap hits coming next year. I believe Trent's going up, Debo goes up. I think Armstead goes up. I believe maybe even Fred Warner goes up as well. So when you look at the numbers, we've got some pretty big cap hits coming. There's going to be chunks of money that are going to be delegated to players that they have rightfully earned. So we just have to make sure that we keep that in mind, and do what we need to do. And that's all that really matters, is trying to make sure we lock our guys down and get them going. Me, I say, hey, man, you got to give these dudes their money, and you got to make sure you pay them in the right way. I do believe possibly if we get Nick Bosa done, get him a new deal, we can possibly go ahead and open up cap space that way. Typically, the person's first year of their contract when they get a new deal is pretty much the cap hit is actually small because most of the money winds up getting. I believe they try to lock it into like a signing bonus or something, which doesn't count against the cap. And if I tell you I'm going to pay you $25 million a year, but $22 million of that is a signing bonus, and then next thing you know, I'm only paying you $2 million technically for that year. That leaves me a lot of wiggle room. So they'll figure that out. Parag Marate, John Lynch, those guys over there, they'll figure it out. They'll crunch the numbers and see what they can do to be able to make things better. The beauty is we have some guys already solidified and locked down. We just need to make sure that we continue to add pieces to the puzzle that will be able to help us out, that'll show up and show out, that'll, go out there on the field, be able to stay healthy and continually produce. Edgar, hey, what's going on, man? So I'm going to look really quick at the free agent linebackers because we don't, like I said, we've got Oren Burks, we've got Marcelino Curry Ball, but we are going to need, some guys. So I'm going to look at these outside linebackers, see if we got anybody enticing on the field. That's coming up in free agency. Ooh, okay. First name right off the bat. Melvin Ingram's out there. Let's see. Anthony Barr will be out there. Now, Barr's a little bit younger than Ingram. Ingram is 33, but Barr is going to be 30. Barr is 30. It looks like he'll be 31. Let's see here. Yeah. After that, it just starts to become a dumpster fire. So I think, honestly, for me, man, I would say, hey, what's going on, Seahawks? Eddie, how you doing? I would say Barr and Ingram are good people to take a look into, man. Melvin Ingram was playing still at a high level, and I just love Anthony Barr. He's UCLA. Sorry, I'm a homer. It is what it is. And plus Anthony Barr can ball. And think about that. Anthony Barr, Dre Greenlaw, and Fred Warner. I'm just saying, it could work. It could definitely work. But the key for us this offseason is to focus on the needs, make sure that we get them if we don't already feel we have them on the team, and then go from there. We'll see what the team does as far as the offensive line is concerned, because that's the main spot for me. That's the hard sell. We need to figure out what we're going to do with the right tackle position. We definitely need to figure out what we do at the center position. The center, once again, is the quarterback for the offensive line, and he is the most intricate part of Kyle Shanahan's offense. If that center is able to do, basically, if you could take Weston Richburg's brain and put it into a healthy center, we'd be okay. Because Richburg was great when he was on the field, just the issue was, once again, like so many players, not able to stay healthy, never on the field. So those are the things that we have to look forward to. Free agency is around the corner. Franchise tags are around the corner. The draft is, fast approaching us, mid-April. Combine's coming up pretty much right at the end of the month. And if you have a craving for football and you still want to look at talent, the XFL is here. After the XFL, the USFL is going to be here. Though these are players that are talented. They just didn't get into the league. So don't think that these guys can't do what they need to do. I'll be keeping an eye on the XFL just because I love The Rock and I want to support him. I'm a Johnson, he's a Johnson. We got to support each other. Along with the fact that the league is definitely giving people an option. AJ McCarron is a quarterback for one of those teams. I think for the Roughnecks or something like that. So, hey, why not? There's 2 games today. I believe 2 games tomorrow as well for the XFL. So they'll probably continue to do their things. It's run by The Rock and his ex-wife, Danny. And then they have a third partner in there that's, helping to fund things and everything like that. I think most of it is funded by Under Armour. And of course, we all know The Rock has his collection with who? Under Armour. It only makes sense, and that's what you do as a business person. You broker deals with the relationships that you have that are pre-existing. Because once you build those relationships, other businesses look at you and go, I want to get into business with that person because look at the kind of money he made for this one. So if you go in and you say, hey, I want my line to be with Under Armour, and Under Armour says, okay, cool, we're going to offer you a contract. You take a look at the contract, take it to your lawyers, you figure out, make sure the business is right, make sure you ain't getting screwed, because that's the number one thing that you always have to remember. Business is business, and companies don't give a flying fuck about your emotions or anything like that. They there to make money. And if they can make money and they can, screw you in the process of it, they could care less. They will not lose any sleep over it. A rich man ain't worried about what a broke man got to say. So there's going to be different things. The USFL, we've got, I think that's where Daniel Brunskill came from, if I'm not mistaken. He came from the USFL. So watch these leagues. If you still have a itch to watch football, pay attention to the talent. These are some guys we could possibly pick up. They can become free agents. You know what I'm saying? They can say, hey, look, all right, cool. We got this person coming in, and I saw what this person did on the field. Yes, the rules may be a little bit different. Yes, you may look and go, well, this is mediocre talent. It's not. These are just guys that are out there playing football, playing their hearts out, and making things happen. And I'm telling you right now, you can probably find some of the best talent in there. A.J. McCarron was at fucking Alabama. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he won the goddamn national championship. And he washed out of the league within a couple of years. So this shows you what the league can do to you. He was drafted by Cincinnati. They wanted him to, usurp Andy Dalton. Didn't pan out. Moved around to a couple of teams in the league. Stopped playing. Wasn't tripping. He was cool. Next thing you know, he's in the XFL. They gave him a call. Hey, man, we know you. We see you. They still got some talent. Come on. The XFL has former NFL players coaching these people. I saw Rod Woodson and several other guys. I can't remember off the top of my dome, but it's going to be a fun thing to watch. So definitely tune in, help them with their ratings and whatnot, because this is still NFL talent, NFL caliber talent that may be able to get on the field. And a lot of the times the crappy thing is you'll see these other leagues and you'll look at these dudes like, damn, these dudes are crazy talented, and you're looking at some teams going, you got guys at that position that are hella trash. I don't know how the fuck you didn't look at this dude. So those are just some of the things that you got to take into account when watching other leagues that are basically spinoffs of the NFL, but have their own different rules and whatnot. I know the XFL did try to start up a couple years ago, but Vince McMahon had tried to, I think that was his baby initially. Him and The Rock kind of created that together, but I think it just didn't pan out. And Vince was, as a businessman, he looks and goes, it wasn't lucrative enough. I didn't make enough money, probably spent more and lost. So I'm good. And in business, sometimes you do that. You take a chance on a product, and you're taking a chance on any product. You hope that product hits. You hope that product does well. But in that same vein, it doesn't always work out. You spend money to make money. And sometimes you spend money and you don't make money. That does not mean that you give up. That does not mean you stop coming up with new ideas. That does not mean that you find you stop finding different investments because you're too afraid to lose money. You have to take the chances. So, yeah, see, there you go. Crazy Juice, Brahmas, Stallions, exactly. So there are teams out there in the XFL that have guys who have been in the NFL. These are guys that are just trying to make sure that they do certain things. They're not out there on, massive contracts and stuff like that. So, you're going to get the best out of them. If I like what I see and I find a team that kind of intrigues and entices me, hey, maybe I might do a couple shows on them. But other than that, that's all I got for you guys. We got to keep an eye on the free agency. We'll figure out what we need to do. Just remember, most of our free agents may or may not be back. I do believe that if anything, we need to get Daniel Brunskill back in here. We need to have Emmanuel Moseley back in here. I would love to get Gip back in here. At least if we sign those key free agents. I would love to have Azeez back too, but I think he's probably going to wind up in Houston. He may even be the mic for D'Amico. So if anything, we'll figure out what goes on. Jimmy Ward, once again, like I said, probably priced himself out of our range. And I know he does want to stay at safety. He does not want to play any other position. So any team looking to sign Jimmy Ward, he's probably going to try to make that a clause in his contract. You can't move me. I play safety, and that's what I play. But thank everybody so much for tuning in. I always want to make sure I keep at least bringing y'all a show on Saturday morning. If there's other 49er news or things that happen throughout the week that is worthy of me jumping on and telling you guys about, I will. Small things I don't really care too much about. A little, mini coaching hirings or something like that, or no name players. I honestly don't report on those things because I feel like it's kind of worthless. And, unless we're making a big splash, it doesn't really draw a lot of attention to anyone. You just kind of look and go, oh, we signed, so-and-so off the street that nobody knows about, nobody cares about. All right, camp body. Those are the things that I don't report on because I just kind of feel like it's meaningless. But thank y'all so much for tuning in. Everybody stay faithful, stay blessed. Have a wonderful day. Once again, if you do want to watch football, there is football on today and football on tomorrow. The XFL has 2 games, I believe, is on Fox. So wherever your Fox station is, wherever you live, definitely check them out. And it'll give you it'll scratch that itch for the time being, because we know that we're going to have a couple months where football does not exist as far as the NFL is concerned, outside of the offseason stuff, because we know pretty much right after the draft, things are basically going to go dry until OTAs come around, So everybody's already done their exit interviews and all of those things. Lastly, I believe the league said they were trying to look into see if Patrick Mahomes used any steroids or anything else during the halftime of the Super Bowl and whatnot. I don't think he did. I can tell you this: Patrick Mahomes this offseason is going to rehab that ankle like nobody's business. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have surgery. When you're running with a high ankle sprain, it hurts like a bitch. And I'm telling you right now, if you looked at his face when he took off on that run, when he was in the Super Bowl, he was grimacing like no other. He was in pain, but he did it for his team. So the one thing you can't say about the kid is, can't say he's not a warrior. He is definitely the man. But Eric Bieniemy being gone and being in Washington, we'll see if the magic really came from Andy Reid or if it really came from Eric Bieniemy. We'll see. We'll see how the offense looks for Kansas City next year. But everybody, stay up, stay faithful, stay blessed. Peace.